All right, guys. So before we get started, if we can do that algorithm dance party that I like to do, to start warming up your fingers and dancing them right up to the hearts and thumbs up button. We're coming to you today on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Hey, y'all. How you doing? Giving me the thumbs up just helps us dance out into the algorithm, party out there, find more interesting people, bring them back to our safe space where we like to have a lot of fun. We have a lot of snark, but we do it in a way that is all kind and respectful to one another, I would say. Hi, guys. Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy. Ooh, had a little echo there. Oh, where do I even begin with this one? So, remember the guy in prison that Chris Watts shared lube and undies with? Well, turns out he co-wrote a prayer book with Chris, and I think you guys probably knew that. But wait, there's more. Dylan Tallman has now released a book slash pamphlet, if we're being honest, detailing his 7 months as Watts's neighbor in Dodge Correctional. So get ready to dive into the details on Watts Island because the waters are warm tonight on Parawomenradio. While we wait for all the Watts Island boaters to roll in, I'm going to roll some credits. Shout out to my replay crew and my dragonflies. How do, boaters? If you're in the US, it's one of those long weekends probably because of the 4th, so I hope you're enjoying it. But for all my power crew near and wide and all over the globe, guess what? It's Friday, babies. I'm Amy.
Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you. Here in the blue, I'm dancing with you tonight, and it feels fine. Carefully strumming his old guitar again, words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I would steal them and fly away with you for a while. Hearing the essence of gratitude, your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the blue.
Woohoo! In the essence of gratitude, I've got my power crew this Friday. How's everyone doing today? Did everyone have a great 4th of July that's in the United States? What did you do? Did you eat lots of barbecue? I miss barbecue. I haven't had good barbecue in a while. So I hope you guys had lots of good barbecue for me. What do you guys think about this book that's happening? Hi, Heavenly. Hi, Chrissy. Hi, Sherry Claiborne. And who else do I spy? Kim. Kim, that was the most absolute sweetest comment that I've gotten in a long time. Thank you so much. Bubbles Babe #1. Wow, I love that name. Bubbles Babe #1. So powerfully confident. Hi. Oh, okay. So I'm not sure if I'm going to say your name right, but hi, Licia. Hi, Christine. Okay, so we're going to get into it. But before we start, I like to do the algorithm dance party. Just start warming your fingers up and dancing them up to the hearts and thumbs up button. By doing this, it helps me dance out into the algorithm party out there. Just bring back some good people back to the party here. And it's just a free way to help my channel out. And it's really, really appreciated. Also, check to make sure to see if you're subscribed, because a lot of people aren't subscribed, and I am trying to reach that 4K mark. We are like, I think we're at either 4 or 3,600 or 3,700. I think it's 3,700. So we're about 300 away. So yeah, if you could just check and see, that would help me out. That's another free way to help my channel out. So, okay, let's get into it. So we're going to do a little bit of, backstory, building up, like, who is Dylan? How did we get here? Type of deal. So let me get my screen all together and away we'll go. It really doesn't look like it's much of a book, and I purposely didn't listen to anything in the book because Alex Erickson read it. Of course, we won't be watching her entire video, and we'll be stopping and starting it. And we typically don't read everything in its entirety. This is for fair play use. I must do this. This is all my opinion, my research for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay, so this is who we're talking about here. It's the guy on the left. That's Dylan Tallman, and he was Chris Watts's, I don't know what you call it. Maybe if Cowboy RC rolls through, he can educate us, but he lived in the cell next door to him. I know, like, it's like not the cellie. I think when they live in it, it's called the cellie, but I don't know what the person next door. We're just going to call him his neighbor. He was his cell neighbor. And in the Daily Mail, do we all remember when it came out that Chris had been busted for doing the lube, sharing the lube, and, well, it wasn't lube. I guess it was Vaseline. I guess, I don't know. That's not like, that could be used for a few things. So it was Vaseline, and it was some undies and a few other things. And they were like, oh, no, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. We're just really, really good friends. And Chris likes to help me out. Ooh, my screen just went blank there. Did it go blank for you guys? The background? That's weird. I don't know what's going on. Is it still happening for you guys? Because if it is, it doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter either way. Okay, so my entire screen just went black. It's like getting near my laptop's on its last legs. But okay, exclusive. He was just trying to help out a friend. Fiance of Chris Watts's prison pal insists that they did not have sex after killer dad's undergarments and personal items were found in the other man's cell. So we all know, we're going to skip around because we all know he's serving this 5 life sentence, 84 years for unaliving Shanann Watts. He and fellow inmate Dylan Tallman were both disciplined in July after Watts's panties and a jar of Vaseline were found in Tallman's cell. They were placed in separate units of the Wisconsin prison after several items that Watts had bought from the prison commissary were found in Tallman's cell. Reports suggest this discovery showed the two were having relations while in prison. It is a breach of prison discipline for one inmate to give items to another, but the discovery was totally innocent. Tallman's fiancee, Christina, I wonder if that's still his fiancee too, Tallman's fiancee, Christina Richello, 42, told DailyMail.com in an exclusive interview. Watts was just trying to help his friend out, she claims. I can definitely prove that my fiancé is not gay, and neither is Chris Watts. Well, what about bi? What about bi? She added, I can't believe through any force of circumstances because they were locked up that they were led. What? Let me read that again. She added, I don't believe through any force of circumstance because they were locked up that they were led to have any encounters. Isn't that the whole point? They're locked up, and what else? Who else? Anyway, Richello said both Watts and her fiance are finding life hard in prison following their separation. The only time they see each other now, oh boy, they're upset that they're separated now. The only time they see each other now is when this was back. This is, I think this was back in 2020. But they write each other continuously and stay in touch to talk about Christian books they want to publish, she said. So, totally innocent. Totally innocent. Get your mind out of the gutter, all right? Chris Watts is totally innocent. Moving on, we have this OK exclusive that says Big House Buds. Chris Watts' prison pal describes killer dad as godly and swears he's innocent. Yes. And here's that picture. What do you guys think about that? Just that headline alone makes my stomach turn. Because whether you're on the Watts side or on the Ruchek side or just kind of in the middle, I think most of us agree he did it, right? Or did some of it, right? Right. Guilty of something. Let's see what it says. Chris Watts is playing. Oh, this is when he. I was also going to say when I was reading this last article, didn't Chris Watts match up Tallman and this girl and this quote unquote psychologist? I don't know. I need to get my air quotes. No, I'm putting my air quotes away. That's wrong. That's being judgmental. The psychologist that didn't Dylan want to meet somebody, and so Chris is like, hey, he passed on letters, because I know that's what they do. Like they pass on each other women's letters, or like if you're gay, then men's letters or whatever to each other. And yeah, so Chris Watts is playing matchmaker and insisting he is not a K-word while serving multiple life sentences behind bars. OK has learned. When was this written, by the way? Do we have a date? January 18th, 2021. This was during that whole fight. No, 2018, 19, 20. No, I guess in 21 that I always forget what it was that he needed to file for, relief to keep on fighting. That part was over by now, right? Because that ended it went on for about 2 or 3 years, didn't it? Let me see what you guys are saying. I need help. Oops. Nope, not that one. Hello, Into the Weeds podcast. Amber's going to be on the show this Sunday. Let me see what you guys are saying. Kim says, I think it was on Watts' Obsession. I'm not sure, but I did hear that he watched the Super Bowl. Oh, really? Ew, I don't know. I don't think they should. Man, I don't think. Uh, that feels like it should be an earned thing. I don't know. Yeah. That makes me feel icky. I feel I don't want them to have any joy. Like I want to just be his joy robber and be like, no Super Bowl for you. That brings you joy. But I can't be that person. CW should be doing research to find the real perpetrator. He might know who she is. Maybe not even have to do any research. Just open his mouth. Ooh, boy, my computer is sticky. Everything's glitchy and sticky. Are you guys saying? I don't understand why he's allowed a photo of Shanann and the girls. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a whole human rights thing. You know, you gotta, I don't know. That's what I would assume they are. That's why he gets to do it, but I don't know. So anyway, I believe he did play matchmaker, and I believe she originally wanted to be with Chris, but that's just my opinion. Chris Watts is playing matchmaker and insisting he is not a murderer while serving multiple life sentences behind bars. OK has learned. The convicted unaliver's good friend and fellow inmate Dylan Tallman spoke with OK about his time with Watts, revealing the K-Dad set him up with his fiancée and explaining that he believes his pal is innocent. If you looked up godly in the dictionary, there would be a picture of Chris, Tallman said at one point in the conversation. He's my brother. He has been there when no one else has helped me out when I needed someone to have my back. Now, see, this is where when I say two things can be true at once, like a godly person can still be a murderer. Someone can unalive people and still have your back. Like, I mean, that's been proven by time and time again by serial, like the families of serial murderers. So I think he might be getting confused, his gratitude and just like, oh, he's innocent. The two men have grown so close that they are currently writing a book of prayers together. So they did write that book of prayers. Here's another front page detectives reporting on Chris Watts' jailhouse pal, whose cell contained lube and killer dad's panties, co-writing prayer book. So it was like highly reported at one point. And they even put like a portion of what some of the prayers are. And like here we have an example, breaking down walls. It reads, "Dear Heavenly Father, I've put up walls bigger than a fortified." Didn't Cindy read this at one point? I swear she read this. Fortified city. There are strongholds I've allowed the enemy to put in my mind, and I built thereon. The foundations of fear, of insecurities, and of failure are stacked higher and higher until they tower over me. My past is a blueprint and the devil the architect. While I watched his fallen ones build stone upon stone every day, I see these walls as insurmountable, a barrier that blocks me from enjoying your love, your peace, and your joy. You are a master builder. Help me walk through these walls, sound the trumpets, and shout that they may come crashing down like the walls of Jericho. So, and in doing the research, I, in fact, found a Reddit tab that started talking about this co-authored book. And it said, I saw this in a Facebook group. Apparently, Chris co-authored a religious book with another prisoner, and that individual published it on Amazon. Is this real? It's God's Plan 40-Day Devotional. Now, there's two books I'm going to be talking about tonight. And so, you know, you click on it and it's kind of gone. And then people were like, is it a scam? Looks like a scam. But no, it is not a scam. It is not a scam. So here we have God's Plan 40-day devotional. It's an Amazon digital service. It's a 40-day devotional in the wilderness were utilized wisely by the authors, gracefully from the manacles of imprisonment. Dylan Tallman and Chris Watts freely give their spiritual insight through the walls and into readers' hearts. You know, I think this would be a very lovely idea. I would buy something like this if I were Christian, if I believed that the people were sorry for what they did, maybe probably not did what they did, or not they, I'm sorry, Chris did, maybe someone down the wayward path, they were doing substances, they started stealing to fund substances, they went to prison, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think there is something a person could do that is just unforgivable? Like, I know Christianity says like God has to forgive you and whatever, but is there something a human being that can do that's just unforgivable? Just unforgivable. Like, you've done too much here on earth. Just, spend the rest of your time doing what you're doing. And then when you pass over, deal with that then. Well, whatever's over there, deal with your sorry butt. What do you guys think? Put a 1 if you think yes, and put a 2 if you think no. There's always hope for a human being. I think that also this type of thing would need to come maybe 40 years down the road if I would believe that maybe you learned a thing or two. I don't know. I don't buy it. I do not buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it, and I don't like it either. But let's move on. I don't have to like everything, do I? So here we see that he's written this book, The Cell Next Door, Dylan Tallman. And it says it came out on June 15th, 2024. It only has 2.5 ratings, but I think it's because, well, we'll get to that in a minute. The author of this book served time in prison, celled up side by side. Oh, celled up side by side. That's the lingo. He was celled up side by side with Chris. The two grew close and were co-authors and grew attracted to one another. Sorry, no, that's just me. That's Amy's input. I'm just being silly tonight. I am feeling frustrated, and my Gen X humor is coming out, or my snark, or my sarcasm. So enjoy. The two grew close, or not. I mean, it might drive you away. I don't know. The two grew close and were co-authors at one point until recent complications. Ooh. Is there trouble in paradise? The two grew close and were co-authors at one point. Maybe that's why it's so short. Until recent complications. This book is basically a 7-month interview of Chris, a year after his conviction. The writer brings his famous true crime story from an angle never before told, which is firsthand knowledge directly from the source, directly from the ass. Arse, directly from the arse there. Let's see what the back looks like. The back says the author of this book, does it get bigger if I, yeah. Okay. The author of this book served his time in prison. Oh, I think I just read that. Okay. Well, interesting choice of photos. Oh, I thought he had something on his head. I thought he had like, I don't know. Okay, that looks better. Close up. There's just a big shine right there. Or it looked like he had, no, anyway. I'm not going to try to, the shine. So it only has 2.5 stars, but it looks like people have given him some bad ratings on distribution, because this guy says it's only 29 pages and it says it's well written, but it's only 29 pages. No full explanation of any experience with the person next door. He asks pointed questions of his neighbor, but they are always interrupted before a full answer is given. So get ready to be frustrated. More frustration down the road. And then, some people say a pretty good book. This person says worth reading. The more people like down say, the first book I bought through Kindle version, it just went to 29 pages. It was supposed to be 130 pages, but 100 pages are missing. I don't know. Seems like a lot happening for one book, but so anyway, let's get into it. So this is Alex Erickson's YouTube page. We won't watch it all, but she does read some of the book, or I think almost all. I think she reads all of it. I'm not sure. I only listened to a part of like the beginning and got to where she starts reading it. So I think we are near where she begins. And here we go. I'm on this journey with you. But let me see what you guys are saying over in comments before we begin real quick. Looks like Terry and Jamie have entered the building. Hi. Thunder Chick agreed. I think he's going to be running into some really bad dudes when he passes. Yeah, I have started listening. I didn't realize this about Real Killers, that he had done time at Dodge Correctional. When I like figured that out, like my ears perked up, because I don't know, I'm really interested in prison reform, and I really would like to learn about it and start talking about it. So anyway, he talked about like it's just a waiting game in there. All they have to do is just wait, and Chris will get so tired of being in protective custody because he'll want more freedom, and so if he gets put out on the yard or whatever, he'll get more freedoms. But Chris is like, that's when he's getting lazy, and that's when they'll strike. So it sounds scary. It sounds like a really scary situation to be in, and I truly would not want to be in such a situation. But I also feel like, you kind of made your bed, and I don't want to see him unalived, but I don't mind that he's afraid. It's probably, yeah. Terry says, hello, everyone. Libra, I sure hope you feel better. Sending lots of prayers, Libra. I don't know what's going on, but I hope you're doing better. I don't believe Chris's new identity is real of finding God. He's lying. Yeah. He did it awfully quick, like boom, boom, boom. It was a very quick transition. Crystal. Hi, Crystal Burns. I don't think I've seen you in a while, Crystal. I hope you're doing okay. I think I see Valerie. Hi, Valerie. Jamie. Okay, let's get into it. Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Make sure that you are subscribed if you like my content. And make sure that when you subscribe that you ring the bell for when I go live. I go live on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then Wednesday and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time as well. Sundays are our paranormal nights, though. It's our Highly Strange Days podcast nights. They're a lot of fun. I like to kind of relax and just lay low on Sunday and kind of self-care Sunday type of deal, and take care of your spirituality and your just the way that, you're kind of feeling about the world. Although sometimes we talk about UFOs, and that's kind of scary. So anyway, Sundays are our paranormal days.
And it's interesting because the text is very large. Each page is probably just a paragraph. So yes, it is like 100 and some pages, but it's going to be a pretty quick book because it's written in a kind of a weird way. Hey, Jennifer.
Okay, so she just answered our question and said that it is 130 page, but the writing is huge. So, I mean, does it really count when you do that? I've been having migraines, you guys, and I am having neurological problems, like my dyslexia, and it's kicking. Weird stuff is happening, and so if you see me doing like going for the playback speed and going into this or something, I'm just, my neurological functioning's off right now.
Well, watermelon Shane, I want to try that. Okay, hey Lynn. So here is the author's note. He does have other books. These are the other books. Mind of a PhD, Heart of a Dope Dealer. That's one. The second one, New Plan 20-Day Devotional. And then the third one, Poetic Knowledge. So here's the author's note. He says, I spent 7 months in the cell next door to Chris. It is common knowledge that he has never It's written in a kind of a weird way. Hey, Jennifer. Ooh, yellow watermelon Shane.
See, this has been happening all day. I was nowhere even near this page, and it's been my cursor on my YouTube things have been moving by themselves. What does that mean? It's probably all the storms that are happening around. Gosh, I hope like all the storms haven't surged my laptop. Would that happen? Oh, I don't know. I can't worry about it right now. But yes, it keeps happening. I don't know what's wrong.
What to do with me. Keep in mind, I was in 2 mental institutions prior to coming to Dodge. County jail couldn't handle me, so I was transferred to Winnebago Mental Health. While there, I ended up in a fight with multiple staff, so I was strapped to a board, carried and driven to Mendota Mental Health. I couldn't handle being incarcerated again after 10 years in prison. I was ready to kill anyone and myself because I could not cope with the reality that I was going to be incarcerated again for a period of time. The reality of imprisonment was trying to sink in. However, I was not ready to accept my fate. I had been a fighter my whole life, and I was trying to fight the inevitable. So I'm glad that he, even though this isn't about him, I do appreciate a little bit of knowledge about him. I knew I was not out long enough this time to establish any real ties to the community. 2 months free and I was going back. Nobody except my mother would miss me. Worst feeling ever. Worse yet, I was housed in a prison and not yet a prisoner. So the state of Wisconsin had me right where they wanted me. That reminds me of Richard Allen. You know, he's also awaiting trial and being housed in a state prison. And I hadn't really heard of that too much before.
Have you? I was listening a little bit about the Richard Allen in Delphi, and it's like Odeon type of ritualistic type of deal. Like what? Is that true, or is it satanic panic that's happening in that case? Does anyone know? Any opinions on that? I think I want to delve into it a little bit. There's so many cases I want to delve into. There's just not enough minutes in the day to do it.
Okay, sorry, you guys. Hey, MK. Hey, poor Linda. Hey, all you guys. All I heard down in solitary confinement was yelling and people banging on their cell doors. The COs were wheeling in an inmate that was strapped down in a strap-down chair, and he had a spit mask over his head. Very demoralizing because they had him naked and kept his neck bent so far back that the man could hardly breathe. I knew how he felt. I had been in his place more than a few times. I could taste the OC spray. It was because someone was maced on the pier, so it went through the vents because the sergeant forgot to shut them off. I had no property, was just in a cell, and could do nothing. What bothered me more than any of these afflictions was the fact that I would not see my family perhaps for a couple more years. I would not be laid up with a woman again for perhaps a couple more years. The one that I chose to lay up with would not remember me until it was too late for them, which was my release date. Typical females. No woman to hold me down that I could love on, to take my mind off of prison. I was going to do this time alone. I felt so alone and low. I was turned all the way up in segregation, worse than other inmates. I did 6 months like that and worse before I was moved to the Special Management Unit 11. I was moved to cell 13 on January 9th of 2020, next to Chris, who was housed in cell 14. So that's our introduction. Let's check on you guys and then we'll keep going. Hey, Bendy. Amber, we were talking about you just before you got here. Hey, Tony. Hey, Trinity. That's called life. Okay, so here we're already at chapter 1. These are going to be really short chapters too, by the way. This one starts with Proverbs 25:17. Seldom set foot in your neighbor's house, lest he become weary of you and hate you. So he says Unit 11 in Dodge Correctional is an SMU, Special Management Unit, where they house people who need to be in a single cell. This includes inmates who are troubled, disabled, or considered high profile. Based on my introduction, it is self-explanatory which category I reside in. My cell was a decent size. Well, hold on, let me pause there. That's like Letitia. So Chris, like Letitia, is very high profile. So a lot of times I'll keep him in medical, just away from other from everyone else. My cell was a decent size. I had to lock in because we only came out of our cell in the morning on non-shower days for an hour. However, it was usually less because we would be let out late. At night, we were supposed to be let out from 6 to 7:30 p.m. It was mid-afternoon when I set my Bible down and decided to knock on my wall to see who my neighbor next to me in cell 14 was. And then he writes in parentheses, banging on wall. By the way, like I'm sure they do, talk a lot through we've heard that.
Oh,
from Letitia.
yeah. I mean, what else do they have to do but bang on the walls and talk through the vents and stuff like that?
Or from tons of other documentaries and things about jail, because they're bored to death. So they're talking through the vents, through the toilets, all that stuff. Yeah. After the banging on the wall, it says, yeah, a soft, humble voice responded. Come to the electrical outlet on the wall, I said. I told him this because I knew from prior experience that we would be able to hear each other clear as day through them as they are connected to the same spot. Can you hear me? He asked. Yeah. What's your name, bro? I asked. Hey, Citizen Sleuth. It's Chris, he answered. I'm Dylan, I replied. We traded introductions. Chris explained who he was, and I elaborated some about my cases and my situation. He seemed like a very nice, normal guy and humble as ever. He told me that he had a life sentence, and I asked him why. He told me that he is accused of killing his family. I leaned off of that subject, and we got to talking about where we were originally from. I'm from Michigan, whereas he is from North Carolina. I could slightly notice that in his accent. Okay, so before we go any further, let me ask you guys, do you believe that we have the...
I didn't know he was from Michigan, Team Pure Michigan.
Full story of what happened that night to Shanann and the girls and the baby. Do you guys think that we have the full story, or do you not?
Do you guys think we have the full story? What do you guys think? Do you think case closed, maybe they missed a few things, but basically case closed? Or do you think there's just case closed? Or do you think there's just people that need to be held accountable that haven't been held accountable? Put a 1 if you think case closed. Put a 2 if you feel accountability needs to still be had. And put a 3 if you just don't know. Because I really don't know. I'm in 3. I go back and forth. But when I start to think that he did it himself, I think how did he do it in that short amount of time? And this is Chris Watts. He's smart book wise, but man, could he have planned all of that? I don't know. That takes a lot of thinking. Just thinking. Brain cells that Chris Watts just doesn't have. Actually, I'm going to take that back, because I think he probably has some Asperger's or something. I want to be mean to Chris Watts, but I think he does have some kind of Asperger's or something. And so it prevents him from performing the murders properly, in my opinion. So, I'm really disliking Chris Watts tonight. Blah. I feel like I try to put goodness out to people. Sometimes even I don't know, I shouldn't say this. This might sound weird, but I live by a road and I see people driving by in the rush hour traffic and they're so mad. And so sometimes I just sit and I envision just love, little hearts floating out. And when they drive by, it just floats into their car and they get to maybe get some positive energy from their anger. But when I'm mad, I feel like I want to direct my anger towards somebody. It's Chris Watts I usually turn to, or some other person that's done something horrific. So I don't know if that's appropriate, but that's how I get out my anger. What do you guys do?
Let me see. Maybe I should do a poll. Let's do a little poll really quick, because we're probably gonna take a couple nights doing this, and then we have number 2, which we're also gonna look at. And I want to just really dig into some conversation with you guys, not just kind of talk up here to myself. Okay, so let me pull up my live.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to stop. Okay, so here I just saw a comment in our chat, and Giselle Hunter said that I just watched another channel, 23 and 1. It's from an ex-cons channel, and he just said Chris is hated and they want to get a hold of him. Is this new, or is this like an old one from TikTok? Is it the guy with all the tattoos on his face, or is this somebody else? Just curious.
Do you feel there is more to this case than what started watching ATS? The video of what appears to be a female carrying a child is undeniably worthy of looking into. So I have a video on that, a short. And, you know, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I agree. It does look like that.
Sorry, I'm going to try to jump forward and find where she starts reading.
Dodge is a max, though. It is run like you can, to me,
it's close right there.
And I had a viewer take a picture of their TV, and I actually put this in my video. I'll try to find it and share it later with you guys. They took a picture of their TV and sent it to me in an email. You could see the TV and everything.
Oh, okay.
And in this picture, you could so clearly see the, you know, what I believe to be potentially a woman coming out of there. But that's just my kind of thoughts on it. But okay, so chapter number 2, he starts this one with another Bible verse. It says Proverbs 23:12. Apply your heart to instruction and your ears to words of knowledge. I'll have to find that for you guys.
Hello,
Sprinkle Donut. Dodge Correctional Institution is an intake prison where all inmates are housed until shipped off to their next destination. Dodge figures out where exactly that is by staffing the inmates' needs and determines their custody level.
Okay.
Dodge is a max, though it is run like a medium custody prison. However,
how do you know all of this very good information, Giselle? I went back to wearing my glasses, you guys. I had my old contacts that need to be updated, and my stuffiness went away when I wore the contacts, but I couldn't see. Like I went back to the glasses, and now I'm stuffy again. How do you know his mom just visited? Who was on a couple days ago? I don't know who was on a couple days ago. Oh, is it on who put it up? No, I didn't find my glasses. I didn't. I bought new readers. So nope, I need new glasses and I need new contacts. So we're back to readers. And those give me migraines. So, but I'm grateful I have these to see. I'm just complaining because they're making me stuffy. They rest right there. So, okay, let's go back. I was just curious how you knew.
If you are intake like myself, you are considered A&E status. This means you are treated worse than a max custody inmate because you cannot order electronics, books, clothes, shoes, or anything. Nothing at all. It's rough, and I was stuck on this status for 23 months due to Marathon County probation and parole not wanting me in society at all. COVID-19 also struck during my probation revocation.
Their sadness and depression is heavy. You can tell, and you can tell she's like doing her cooking channel again because she just is trying to dig her way out of the darkness. I can recognize that because basically this is why I started doing YouTube. I just needed to dig my way out of something. And I am. And I think it might be a good way if the comments, I don't know, like it's so easy for me to say this because my daughter and grandchildren weren't ripped from my heart and soul. But if they could find a way to not allow the comments to, or maybe not read the comments, I don't just bother them so much. And maybe I think there's a new crop of YouTubers out there that are covering the case that are kinder and gentler. I don't know if that's true, but I've noticed like maybe I surround myself with people that I kind of vibe with and kind of feel like they're open-minded, and I might not agree with everything they're saying. Like, what's the obsession? I don't agree with everything Kelly says. I don't agree that, you know, I think she leans more towards Shanann abuse the girls while they were living. And I don't believe that for 1 second. I reject that wholeheartedly, but I can still like her for her content and what she does do. And that's kind of the way to maybe look at it and help her. But I don't know. But her pain
process. I began
is visible, and it's visible on her brother and on her father.
and writing a book called Poetic Knowledge. So there's that book we saw in the intro. It was about the knowledge of God, basically through my poetry. I'd published a book in 2013 called A Blessing in Disguise. So I was at it again, trying to be productive instead of crying about my afflictions. At night, Chris would pray for us, and the prayers were very well put together. I asked him one night if he, quote, wrote that, unquote. He replied, no, they just come to me. Well, maybe try writing one down, I suggested. He said, okay, perhaps I'll do that. And then we went to sleep. The next morning, when our cell doors popped open for time in the day room, Chris handed me 2 prayers he had written. I set them on my bed to review after day room. That short period was for my phone time. Chris would call his parents, his sister, or Anna, who was his girlfriend at the time. She was the kindest woman I had ever met. During day room, we would also bring our Bibles with us. We would try bringing other inmates as well as officers.
I don't remember Anna. I remember Kim. Who is he with now? Like, I did read that, like, he spends most of his time writing letters to people, and it's female, of course. He probably gets a lot of hate mail, like a lot, wouldn't you say? So I wonder who his new girlfriend is.
To the Lord. Wow. So according to Dylan, he and Chris would take their Bibles to the day room during their time out and try to bring other inmates and officers to the Lord. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I agree with the
Let me
dating
check on the guys.
in prison, but I don't know. I guess you need to
Proverbs is a wonderful book.
Some kind of emotional connection on the outside. Well, because we forget that the vast majority of people are getting out. So we need to be able to give them something. But we also need to have classes, and I think they should be, I don't know. The whole prison system needs to be reformed. And by reform, I don't mean let them out. I mean teach them how to behave when you get out. Like, I was listening to something, and this one person would make the prisoners go and sit on their beds and have like an hour or 2 hour of personal time. And the one person was like, why do you torture them like that? And it's like, it's not to torture them, it's just to teach them how to, because out in the world, we do have to contain ourselves and moments and be quiet. And he's like, it's just helping them. So, I mean, but just not throwing that one thing into the day, like having a whole schedule of things. But it's so much more than that, I'm sure. But just don't let them write letter after letter to women. Ugh. Remember that letter he wrote to that woman about her panties and him soaking them, and to get to me now? I've got that somewhere in my stuff. I think I did it on a live and then did a short or something, but geez.
Oh, Jamie, you're his girlfriend. Thank you for being here.
Oh,
I appreciate that.
You can tell that I have not listened to this ahead of time. So Jamie is his girlfriend. Here we're like saying how horrible he is.
Missing the chat. Let me just look back for a second. Hey, Wolfie.
Once I get better at editing, I've got a whole list of videos I want to do, but looking at women who have the disorder that they feel like they need to write to prisoners, I want to take a look at that and like look at a few prisoners. Like, I'm saying like a lot. I'm sorry, you guys. It's my brain thing. I want to say like again. But I want to do a prisoner thing where we look at females that have this need, it's a psychological disorder, and I want to take a look at it and maybe bring up some high profile cases like Chris Watts, and I'm sure Scott Peterson has a lot of women that write to him. Like maybe look at a few. Oh, and even Brian Koberger, I hear he's been getting a lot of female writers. So I want to take a look at that. Like, Why? I just said like again. Ugh. I swear, this Christmas, I'm giving up like. I am giving up like. I will have a like jar and I will be putting money into it, and we will like, whoop, see, whoop. We will be having a, when I was first starting out in radio, I said a lot. So I did this very similar thing to get the out of there. Watch, I'll start saying a lot again, but save me. Somebody save me. But yes, I'm getting rid of the likes this Christmas. And I forgot what I was saying.
Jamie, let's see. Yeah, if you have any input or anything, yeah, just let us know. And I appreciate you being here, like I said. Okay. So let's keep looking. You know that book I'm writing called Poetic Knowledge? I asked Chris through the electrical outlet on the wall. Yeah, the spiritual poems, I like those, he replied. Dylan says, what would you think about co-authoring a book where book 1 will be my entries and book 2 will be your entries? He says, let's do it. Do you think you could get it published? And he says, I did it once, so I'm pretty certain I can. Every time he wrote his entries, he would give them to me when our cell doors would pop open for our time in the day room. Time was going by and I was growing restless of Dodge. I hated doing the same exact thing every day. I still couldn't order from JL Marcus or Union Supply. I was not yet staffed or even a state prisoner yet. Chris ordered clothes, envelopes, and stuff for me, which was not allowed. Later, we would, oh, here we go, because remember, I told you guys at the beginning, there was a time period where they both got in trouble and, you know, all this bizarre stuff was found and a lot of wild rumors started, but, you know, then they came out and said, I was just helping a friend out. So that's interesting. And I'll show you guys that later because I do have it pulled up. Later, we would get in trouble for unauthorized transfer of property. Hollywood tabloids and YouTube content creators would twist this completely out of context, causing people on social media to do the same. Wow. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, no, we can.
Wait, I want to go back and see what that popped up. Look, were they talking bad in chat and now feel like they need to apologize to Jamie? She popped that off really quick.
Clothes, envelopes, and stuff for me, which was not allowed. Later, we would, oh, here we go. Because remember, I told you guys at the beginning, there was a time period where they both got in trouble.
If I could give YouTube any suggestions, I would ask them to put in one of those, you know, like where you can press the button and it'll move it back 10 seconds or forward 10 seconds. That would be really nice. Unless that there's that feature and I just don't know about it.
And, you know, all this bizarre stuff was found and a lot of wild rumors started, but, you know, then they came out and said, I was just helping a friend out. So that's interesting. And I'll show you guys that later because I do have it pulled up. Later, we would get in trouble for unauthorized transfer of property. Hollywood tabloids and YouTube content creators would twist this completely out of context, causing people on social media to do the same. Wow. Okay.
I thought it was right here. Okay. It's right there, right there. Ah! Tess Mac, she said, my apologies again at Jamie M. I did not mean to sound judgy. Sometimes words do not get conveyed well via text. Sending you love, God bless, and happy 4th of July. Wonder what that's all about. I'm a nosy Nelly.
Let's see. Yeah, no, we can.
Tell us.
I'm actually waiting for him to call me now. Well, I'm glad that you're here. And yeah, let's be kind to Jamie. I know you guys are anyways, but, you know, I just want to.
I never say things that I wouldn't say directly to a person. Anytime that I have ever said things that I did not want to, that was not things that I was supposed to say, it got found out. Because when you know that you're not supposed, I just feel like when you finally tune into what is the universe? Oh, I don't know. What do you guys think? Once you kind of know the universe holds you, or God, whatever you want to call it, holds you responsible, like you will get the goods, you will get the good stuff. But if you engage in this stuff and it's like putting a kink in the flow, you know, it will come back to you eventually. It circles around eventually.
The author, you guys. Okay, so here is what came out in the news, and this is actually the response. This was the first thing I was looking, and all these other websites were coming up that I hadn't heard of before, and I didn't want to use them for like reference. So
I'm sorry, but then I think about this thunder. Oh, I just remembered what I wanted to say. In doing that thing about women that date men in prison, I always circle back and I think about Lori, who dated Damon from the West Memphis 3. And I mean, that was a beautiful thing, right? So I don't know. I guess sometimes it's gotta work out. And then there's people in there that are innocent. And what would it have been like if Lori hadn't written to him? He probably would have given up. It sounds like, from what, she sent him books and she just fought for him. So.
Exclusive. He was just trying to help out a friend. Fiance of Chris Watts' prison pal insists they did not have sex after killer dad's undergarments and personal items were found in the other man's cell. So Chris Watts has been disciplined and separated from his brother in spirit after prison guards found.
Hi, Jay Zal. Thank you for stopping by and dropping the little bit of information that you had. It was really, really appreciated. And I hope you come back.
His underwear, a jar of Vaseline, and baby oil in another man's cell. But the inmate's fiance insists Watts was only helping out his friend. Both Watts, 35, and his prison pal Dylan were punished in July after Watts' possessions were found in Tallman's cell. It was revealed last week. Reports suggest the discovery showed the two were getting it on while in prison. This is what the Daily Mail says. That report suggested. They're not saying that.
Did it pop back or something? What happened? Is she? Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna find where she's reading again. Or is that all? Did she just read the opening? Is that it? Or did she forget to put it down?
Lori? Yeah, don't be sorry, Angie. I explained that the guy would wake up and turn the TV on to Good Morning America, eat, brush his teeth at an exact time, take a shit at an exact time.
Oh, she did. She has this up. Okay. And I do have this in my questions too. The whole thing with the Vaseline and finding the shorts and the other with his name on it in another prisoner's cell. Do you think he's having a relationship with a prisoner, or do you think he literally just loaned things to people?
There is something that tells me he's probably having a relationship with another inmate.
Because you don't just loan things like that, do you?
No. Underwear is a valuable commodity in prison, unless somebody's going to tell me otherwise, at least from everything I saw. And that's awfully sketchy. That would warrant investigation for sure. There's probably something going on there. And I think Mr. Watts, based on what I've seen, and obviously it's only my opinion, but is a very sexually conflicted individual and maybe has been for quite some time.
Yeah,
that's all I can say. There's something this guy's trying to keep under wraps, and even on the outside I think there's more to this guy than we could ever really see unless he would tell somebody, and I absolutely don't think he ever would admit that.
Yeah, I definitely think Chris was an undercover freak that probably had a substance abuse issue and also was bisexual. So
yeah, that's what I think. That's what I'm picking up on. There are just some things that kind of make me think that, just based on years of observing human behavior. I'm no psychologist, but that's where it comes from.
Okay. Heavenly says, does Chris get his own cell or does he have a roomie?
That depends on how that facility's set up, really. I've seen it both ways where I've worked. So, yeah, I really would be interesting. I would need more information on what their facility is constructed like and classified as, basically.
Yeah, I know he's in a pod situation,
Mhm.
but I don't know in that situation, does he have a roommate or not? And I think in that pod situation, he doesn't even go to a chow hall. The food is brought to him.
That could very well be. That's been a real change in the past probably 30 years of corrections where they're trying to do that more localized. It cuts down on the likelihood of a large inmate uprising when you don't have hundreds all massed in one area. It makes
Yeah,
perfect sense. You cut those numbers down from say 300 to 80, it's a lot better for your staff to manage.
yeah, I would think so too. And it seems like it would be maybe even more comfortable for the prisoners.
Definitely, especially in a climate such as, well, Wyoming's harsh with inmates used to have to go distances across a long, open yard in the weather to a chow hall. If you don't have to get out in the weather, Wyoming, Wisconsin, places like that, I think it would be more comfortable.
Yeah, I think so too. Um, Terry Butts says,
80, it's a lot better for your staff to manage.
yeah, I would think so too. And it seems like it would be maybe even more comfortable for the prisoners.
Definitely, especially in a climate such as, well, Wyoming's harsh with inmates used to have to go distances across a long, open yard in the weather to a chow hall. If you don't have to get out in the weather, Wyoming, Wisconsin, places like that, I think it would be more comfortable.
Yeah, I think so too. Terry Butts says, and I'm pretty sure they were joking, but it corresponds with one of my questions. And they say, is he being haunted by his family? But my question was, in your prison that you worked in, were there any paranormal stories that you had?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there were instances of things that made you wonder. You hear a lot of strange noises at night when like everybody in a pod was asleep, you know. We had down where death row was, where I had begun my career, we had an inmate who had hanged himself there years
Uh-huh.
before, and it was always rumored to be haunted. And working night shift down there, you would hear strange noises occasionally, and you had like two guys who lived down there, and they were both asleep at the time. So who knows? It's not provable, but highly likely, in my opinion. It depends on your beliefs. I
I believe,
believe that places store energy, is how I look
me
at it.
too. Yeah, especially prisons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jeff says that if he's in a pod, there are 2 men's cells that they cram 3 to 4 in. And then,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say earlier too when that question was brought up. Likely at least two, because most states and most facilities have such a crowding problem. I think the days of single cells, unless it's a disciplinary unit, are going to be over.
would he be given his own, because I don't see who said it, but someone said something about him being a celebrity. Would they give him his own cell because he's well known?
No, the only reason they give him his own cell is because he didn't want a cellmate to unalive him.
That would make him even more hated, I would think, to give him his own
That
cell.
would, because then people would be pissed because he had his own cell because he's a dirty child unaliver. That's how they would
Yeah.
look at it. Correct.
Yes. In doing the research, then there was a lot of information about Dodge Correctional. And this was just like, it wasn't COVID or anything like that. Just 9 months ago, they were going through a lockdown. The inmates' families were voicing concerns, and then they were saying it was a nightmare. And then in the lockdown, the inmates began protesting. Do you think that Chris is taking part in the inmate protests and all of that kind of stuff?
I can't see him doing that. I just don't see him having the guts unless he's being a good sheep and following in with the rest of the crew. And they're probably on lockdown due to staffing issues. I know our state has gone through that recently. So I've been told by current staff members, because they can't keep staff. So you have to start cutting services. And even when I was a watch commander, I would have days where we couldn't open the library because I didn't have an officer to man it. You have to start, closing the gym because my recreation officer wasn't there and I had nobody to replace him. Things like that. And I've heard a lot of these systems are going through that due to staffing levels.
Yeah, that would make sense because there was the protests, and then they mentioned that that the lack of jailers amongst crisis level in Wisconsin. So it just sounds like a pressure cooker to me that's happening.
It is. It's not an easy job. It is, but it's not. I'll put it this way. We used to call it 99% boredom and 1% sheer terror. It's monotonous, and it's not a happy place to go. Just let's face it. You go there every day, and it's not a happy place. No, the people who live there don't want to be there. And a lot of the staff are bitchy because they don't really think they want to work there anymore. It's not a good place to go. You just have to have a mind for it. And I don't even know how to explain what makes somebody capable of working there and staying there. Just you either can or you can't. I've seen it.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a sink or swim type of job.
It is, yeah. Average correctional officer's career is less than 2 years.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's a short-lived endeavor for most. It just is.
I was reading some of the amount that some correctional officers are making, and it's not a bad wage.
No, these guys are making killer money now. We were making $8 an hour when I started.
Yeah, they were like if you would have been in the position you were in now, it just seems like you would have made a lot of money because they were making top level like at 100,000. I mean, to me that's a lot of money. So
I could make 100 a year in that level easy. I was topped out when I left. Expert level pay grade for my position, and I was making 65, and that was back in 2005. So I'd be making some coin now.
There's been rumors that Chris has been transferred because he's no longer in the prison registry. What can we learn from that? Why wouldn't his name be on the prison registry?
Could be a transfer. Most likely, they give him a new name in their records, and that can happen. I personally know of one we had who committed a heinous crime in South Dakota, and we got him, and he had a new name. I didn't know what his real last name is until his parents came to visit him, and I saw the IDs, and I'm like, wait, they're his parents, and they have a different name. And I looked up his first name with their last on the internet and found out who this dude was.
Oh, that's interesting. So
yes, this guy had
something different.
This guy had killed his 5-year-old daughter. He was in a custody dispute with the mother. I'm sorry, unalived. I'm not used to using that term, but okay. I do understand. He had committed that crime and gotten by with it. They just thought it was a horrible house fire until he was incredibly drunk, and he confessed it to an internet chat group, and they turned him in.
Oh my gosh.
It was the first time the internet was ever used in court as evidence to convict somebody.
Well, they probably thought that was new, fancy, schmangled kind of evidence.
It was. Yeah, we're talking like 2000, 2001. So, yeah, it was dial-up days evidence.
They're using the stuff on the weird wide web.
But, yeah, with Chris Watts there, they could have transferred him somewhere under secrecy, which is, they can do. Or they simply don't list him because they don't want the attention to their facility and the headaches that come with it. And that's probably most likely, I would guess.
I wonder where they would transfer him to if they transferred him. Like, who would want him? Where would he be safe?
Nobody. Based upon my experience, at least with our system, we had different areas where we could transfer them. State of Wyoming had an agreement at the time with 8 other states. It's called an interstate compact agreement.
Can you guys hear him? Because this happened to me last time. I couldn't hear the guest in the middle of it, but later I learned that I'm going to take you. Wait, I don't even see you in my backstage. Hold on a second. Hello?
Be if he's not in Wisconsin.
Would they have to tell his family where he is?
After they usually, typically, I don't think they had a duty to do that. They would allow the inmate to contact their family after they were moved, from my recollection, but certainly not before, obviously, because you have the breakout risk. So that could happen.
So he could have been moved after all.
He could
Or
have,
he could just be listed under a different name.
You could list him under a different name, or they could just not list him.
Or
as part of public record, they may not list him due to safety and security concerns is all they need to really cite. And unless somebody would challenge that in court, there's nothing they can, nothing they can do about it. Safety and security overrules every other concern.
Hey friends, I just want to take a moment and ask you, are you subscribed to Parawomen Radio? Because I looked the other day and I saw that over 50% of you that are coming and hanging out and visiting, you're not. And sometimes you don't know you're not subscribed. Sometimes you forget you're not subscribed. So if you could just take a moment to check and see if you're subscribed. If you are, fantastic. I'm so happy. And if you're not, it's just a free way to help my channel out. Subscribe. If you don't like me, you can unsubscribe. No problems at all.
Hi.
Hi guys, welcome to Parawomen Radio. I'm Amy. Tonight I forgot I didn't silence myself. So let me get back to my intro. Hi guys, welcome to Parawomen Radio. I'm Amy. Tonight, Jen from Crafted Evidence joins us as we embark on a journey into the mysterious bromance between Dylan Tallman and family annihilator Chris Watts. How did it all begin? And what's the deal with Dylan's books mysteriously vanishing from the shelves? And most importantly, where in the world is Dylan now? I'm going to roll some credits while we wait for the rest of the Watts Island boaters to arrive. A special shout out to my Power Replay crew and Dragonflies. Did you ever think this bromance would stand the test of time? And did I mention we have a special surprise guest for you in store tonight? I don't think I said any of that, but we do. I'll see you in just a minute.
Cavalier's drumming his old guitar again. Words rolling out into our fires. If heaven had wings out to you, then I'd fly away with you for a while. Your dreamy little smile on my little baby, I had you for that day.
I never have everyone doing today of the week, so I hope you had a very wonderful Friday. We are getting very close to hitting 7K subscribers. That algorithm dance party that I like to do, just start warming up your fingers and dancing them right up to the heart and thumbs up button. Helps us go out into the algorithm party spots for how many years was it? Was it 3 years, 4 years, something like that?
I thought it was only a couple months, but
it was only a couple months. Oh, I thought it was years. Okay,
well, Jamie will tell us. She'll know.
Yeah, Jamie will tell us. So he lives next door, and they co-authored a book. And if you remember, Alex Erickson is another content creator that had both Jamie and Dylan. I'm just making up names. Had him on her channel when the books were released. So welcome to Parawomen Radio, Jamie. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are great.
See you again.
We're excited to have you on, Jamie. I know it's been a while since you've done one of these interviews, but kind of the new piece of this is that the book is no longer available. And you taught me something new today, and I would hope you could help kind of clarify this as well. I always thought Chris helped co-author this book, and that's not the case, right?
No, he had nothing to do with this series.
Okay, can you give us some background on how this one came about?
Dylan had decided to publish God's Plan 40-Day Devotional with supposed permission from Chris and from Ronnie and Cindy. And then we went ahead and published that book. We wound up getting emails from Amazon. Well, I did because I handled everything. That an authorized representative wanted the book pulled down. And Dylan then decided he was going to go into true crime and basically go this route since the other book was pulled.
Okay. Can you tell us about the process of what it kind of takes to put a book like this together, especially with someone who's behind bars? He's not sitting behind a laptop.
It was extremely difficult and on my end quite costly because of phone calls back and forth. What would basically happen is Dylan would write his written pages, mail them out to me. Then I had to edit them, type them, cover design, and then get them all loaded onto the Amazon KDP site and then get them published from there.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, this is more than just, sitting down and writing a book. Like, there's a lot of work that went into that.
Oh, a lot. I mean, and a lot of headaches and, time spent away from my children and just, it was a lot.
Yeah. But now you kind of have this expertise on how to get a book out there, which is really cool. I think a lot of us and some of the people who joined us tonight are like, I'm really interested in getting my book published. Like, how would I do that? And I said, well, maybe we can ask Jamie's for some tips on that. So
yeah, I can't see any of the comments coming in to even respond to them. So this is my
that's
first
fine.
time
We'll kind of
actually.
relay for you.
Okay.
So far, we just have on my end, I see we have some people in chat. Kelly saying hi. Hi, Kelly. And then we have Jana Jank is in chat. Hi, Jana. And hi to everybody in the outer regions. So can we maybe take it back to the beginning? And could you tell me what made you interested in writing a book about Chris Watts?
Oh, I didn't write it.
Well, you helped co-op. You helped. What brought you into wanting to be a part of the process to help publish and do a book, edit a book about Chris Watts?
Well, the best answer I have for that is Dylan had a book out before this called Mind of a PhD, Heart of a Dope Dealer. Someone had sent me a chapter or so of that book, and that got me in touch with him. And that book was not good. It needed a lot of editing. It needed a lot of work. So he asked me to help him, and I said, sure. And I helped him. And then it led into the God's Plan book of books, which started with the 40-Day Devotional. And then I just really wanted to help him succeed. I wanted to, as a good human being, help someone. So I did it.
And so the 40-Day Devotional,
Yes.
can we talk about that a little bit? Because that is, I think and I'm glad we're having you on because it's clarifying a lot of confusion out there too.
Yes.
So Chris had nothing to do with the other book. He was going to team with Dylan for the 40-Day Devotional. Can you tell us what that was going to be about?
I have a hard copy of it. I believe there were 9, possibly 10 sold before it was pulled. It was basically
that was pulled as well.
Well, that was pulled for different reasons. That was pulled because someone who was an authorized representative for CW, that's what the email said that Chris did not give his permission. So that was that would have been last May of 2024 that all that happened.
Now, did Dylan get this in writing from Chris? Because I feel like that may have been the first step of him doing this process would be in writing with Chris.
There was communication between Ronnie and Dylan's mom.
Okay.
With Ronnie saying, Chris gives the go ahead for this. Ronnie was supposed to get something in writing from Chris and send it to Dylan's mom. That never happened.
Okay. So
yes.
that makes a little more sense. And then then that's where I think this rumor comes out that the Watts family wanted the book pulled when we're talking about the cell next door. But that was just something kind of Dylan did on his own time, right?
Correct.
Okay. And
Oh, okay. So Dylan was the one that pulled the cell next door.
No, ma'am.
he didn't pull it. Yeah.
Who pulled it?
I did.
And
Oh,
and behind that, Jamie, I do want you to be able to have that opportunity to explain why it was pulled.
Okay. Do you want the short version or the long version?
long, please.
Okay. Dylan and I had an agreement that once the books got going, we would either work out a percentage or a flat fee for my work that I put in.
Right, for the editing and on the outside getting it published. And I know there's a lot of work that goes into this, Jamie. There's designing the book cover, making sure that you're using an image that is not copyrighted or paying for that copyrighted image. And
Correct. The copyrights to the covers are in my name.
yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of work that goes into this. So that is what he was paying you for, was to kind of do the handiwork on getting this book out.
I'm going to need to go back. That was what he was supposed to pay me for.
Okay.
The money was coming into his Cashapp. First, it was coming into mine, and then I would just transfer it over to his. Keep in mind, he was in Columbia Correctional at the time, in a max security prison. We spoke often, and as money came in, he was spending it as quick as it came in. And when things kind of went south with the way he was spending his money, he told me, he goes, go ahead and take the next 2 months of royalties so I can get you paid. Well, he got himself in some hot water and needed the money. I was very sick at the time, like literally in bed. And he called, needed the money, needed the money, needed the money. So I just sent all the money to his mom and I said, look, I am out. When he was released on December 13th of 2024, we were still in contact and speaking. And I told him, you know, hey, you need to pay for what I did. And he said, all right, give me time to get the money together. I'll get it. I'll get it done. He still was not making that happen when he'd had the money and the opportunity to make that happen. So I gave him a deadline and I said, look, if it's not done by this time, I'm going to go ahead and unpublish the books because I'm not working for free. He finally said to me, I can't come up with the money. Go ahead and unpublish the books. So I did. And then after I did that, he said, oh, I didn't mean it. I just said it because I was mad. And basically, that's how it went. I had to block him, his mother, his girlfriend. I blocked anyone that knows him at this point just to get peace back in my life. And that's the story.
Yeah, and I want to clarify something too for those the people on here. I reached out to Jamie. I want people to know that. Jamie did not reach out to me wanting to share her story. Amy and I were talking about this after doing our last live stream. And, we looked on Amazon and we observed, hey, you can't get these books anymore. And we started digging and came across Amy.
No, what you said was we were on a live or we were talking and you asked me if I would reach out to Jamie for you because you wanted to talk to her. So, but then
I think she popped up in our chat
yeah,
that day too.
She happened to pop up that very day, and I was like, "Oh, hey!"
Yeah, that was totally by accident.
Yeah,
I called and let me pop in because Amy, you and I have emailed before.
Yeah,
and I definitely wasn't seeking out anyone. I live a quiet, normal life, and I just want to kind of forget he exists. I know that sounds rude, but I tried to help him, and I just feel like he couldn't be helped.
It's hard I think, to make deals with people when it has to do with money, because you don't know how well a book or a movie is going to do. And once, something blows up, it's, I've seen a lot of relationships, friendships, families torn apart by working together on projects. And that is unfortunate. I also tried to reach out to Dylan, but he is unavailable to speak with us because I also wanted him to explain what was going on. But I did chat with his current girlfriend, but I felt there was no need to kind of bring that in the involvement. Really, the answer we wanted was, did Chris Watts try to pull this book? And that's why I feel like you're kind of helpful in answering that question for us. And I think even a little more than Dylan, because you're the one who was getting the emails, right?
Correct.
I also feel like we all have those people and are those people that we're just, one in our rear view mirror. And I was re-listening to Dylan's interview with Alex. And I mean, he even said in the interview that he's institutionalized and,
Very much so.
who he is. And so I'm sure Dylan has his problems because he's never been taught how to manage his emotions. And, we don't wish any ill will towards Dylan or anything like that. We just are very interested because he was Dylan's the cell next door, and he did write a book, and you helped him with the book. And so we're not here to we're not drama driven or anything like that. We're not here to get the dirt. We're just here to report on the Watts case because that's what we do.
I honestly wish Dylan and his girlfriend the best. I hope everything works out for them over there away from me. I have moved on in many ways. I'm not saying this to bring drama, but his current girlfriend wants to keep drama going. And that's not who I am. That's not what I want. Just, my time of helping Dylan is done. There is no way for him and I to repair any type of friendship. And I just, kind of wanted to speak my side of it and make that part clear about what happened with the books.
And I thank you for that, because you did, when we were chatting in the pre-interview, you really weren't sure whether you wanted to do this. And you're like, this is my past. I'm done. I've moved on. And I was like, I know, but you can really help clarify things. And I think there was a lot of misinformation out there as well.
Very true. Very, very true.
I'm looking in my chat and people want to clarify, how long did Dylan stay with Chris on, what was it, unit 11?
Yes, approximately 7 months.
Okay, so it wasn't a year.
No, it was approximately 7 months.
Okay. And they, from what I've seen, and we were talking, Jamie, about, there was a gal who was on, I want to say it's Dr. Oz or Dr. Phil, but her name was Christina.
Krista Riccello.
Okay. So she had a relationship with Dylan at some point. And that was because she originally wrote Chris. And then Chris was like, hey, man, this letter's for you. And then the two of them started talking. And I think when you're in prison, you probably just will talk to anyone.
Correct. And I actually have the original letter that Krista sent to Chris.
Really?
I do.
I'd love to see that if you're willing to
I
share.
would love to show it to you off of this platform.
Sure. And so Christina and Dylan started.
Krista.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dylan got to a point where he was like, you know what? You're talking about him too much. I don't think you're in it for me. And then they parted ways.
Actually, that's, that story's up to interpretation because I only have heard, I've kind of heard both sides of it, but Dylan was not happy with Krista using him for apparent fame, going on Armchair Detective and things of that nature. It ended badly with the two of them.
Okay. Because I remember her saying she was a criminal psychologist.
Sorry.
Okay. I haven't looked her background up, but I remember her being on TV, and she actually told the shocking story about her mother having some obsession with Charles Manson.
Yes.
Yeah. And so she said she kind of came from a background of people who write prisoners, fall in love with prisoners. And I thought, what a bizarre story. But also, all I know is from what she said in that interview, you guys, and I cannot remember if it was Dr. Oz or Dr. Phil.
Dr. Oz.
Okay. And she kind of just talked about that. And from what I thought, the relationship ended because Dylan eventually thought, you're just using me to get to Chris. Did Dylan experience that a lot?
No.
Okay. I was curious once he started writing the books, if people were kind of reaching out to him to try to get to Chris, or if he felt that was kind of happening to him.
When he wrote the books, he was no longer anywhere near Chris.
Okay. And did he give Chris a heads up, I'm going to be writing these books?
No, he did not.
Oh, wow.
Okay. How did he do that without being scared of legal repercussions? Or did he just wing it?
He just didn't care, I guess.
Okay. That's something interesting, that.
I mean, technically though, there's so many books about the Watts case, and I'm sure none of them have direct permission from Chris.
Right.
So it was kind of Dylan's story, and Chris was involved in it, is the way the angle of it was.
Because they were spending time together working on the devotional. And
yes.
then Dylan was kind of taking all of this intel. And I have to think Chris probably if he knows about the book, which I'm sure he does, probably feels a little stabbed in the back by Dylan.
I would think so.
Did you ever have any conversation with Chris?
No,
Oh, not at all.
just Ronnie and Cindy.
Okay. Did Dylan try to kind of keep you at all away from Chris and just more focus on, you know, his book and the things he's working on?
No,
Okay. Because I was curious if
it wasn't something that really came up.
okay.
You just never asked to speak with them, or you never had to speak with them, or I mean,
Well, they were very separated at the time. Chris
At that
is
time.
still in Dodge, and Dylan was in Marathon County Jail, which is where he is now. That's public record, so I can say that.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, there was no need at that point.
Okay. That is really just like interesting, you know, and
Mhm.
especially since Chris did agree to do that 40-day devotional and then to kind of change his mind.
Well, he agreed to the series called God's Plan Book of Books. That's how this started. It was 7 books, maybe 6. I don't remember. It's been a while, put together into one thick book.
Okay.
The 40-day devotional was part of it. And there was a couple other ones. Dylan wound up doing, turning the 40-day devotional into the 20-day devotional to get Chris's work out of it. And then he did the one called Poetic Knowledge, which was another part of the book series that he and Chris worked on. Chris's stuff was never published.
Okay.
The whole thing together was around 500 pages, which, let me tell you, takes a long time to print out multiple 500-page books. I'll just say that.
You had to do the legwork on that part too.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Wow.
what did you have conversation with the Watts about? What did you need to talk to them about?
Um,
And if you don't want to answer my questions, you can say, I just don't want to answer that.
Feel free to say
well,
something.
You can say that.
briefly, it was, the short version was about the 40-day devotional coming out and getting a letter from Chris for permission. Most of it centered around that. And it was a 3-way call with Dylan, myself, and Ronnie.
Ah.
And
How did you find the Watts to be? Were they friendly or in your?
yeah, that was my next question.
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
Mhm.
Ronnie was very, Cindy is soft-spoken and quiet. Ronnie is more talkative, but, you know, not a bad vibe from either one of them, no.
And Ronnie recently, I saw this was interesting after Chris was arrested, he got baptized himself. So I can see where Ronnie probably really wanted to kind of take part in maybe doing this book with everyone.
That would be my guess, but I really don't know exactly what happened. I don't know who this representative of CW was who had contacted Amazon to get that book pulled.
Mm.
I don't know.
So ultimately, Amazon's the one that pulled it.
Yes, but it was pulled because Amazon was contacted by a third-party representative.
That's interesting. So I'd have to think it's legit, you know, not just.
In the video that Dylan and I did with Alex Erickson, she pops the emails up on the screen
Oh yeah, that's right.
from the authorized representative.
Oh.
Mhm. Yes.
Well,
I watched that video today, but I don't know where in the live she does that. So
and we intend to have her on with us, but she's on her spring break right now. So
Yes, I actually talked to her today. She is wonderful.
okay, yeah, Jamie, we do want to have you on again, but we had a lot of people eager for this live, and we're like, well, we don't want to like keep them waiting forever, but I'm sure there's going to be more questions that come up, and hopefully you'd be willing, you know, to answer those.
I will answer pretty much anything. I mean, of course, personal things. I'm not going to talk about.
Sure. And we don't blame you.
Yeah.
I have someone asking just a little bit about advice on how to, like, I guess they're wondering, did you approach Amazon having the book ready and done? What was that process like?
Anyone can publish a book. You basically set up an Amazon KDP account, which I did. You go and find whichever site you want to use to make your cover. You put your file in, you load everything. It's a step-by-step process, but you don't have to approach anyone. You can just go in, set up your account, and start doing your thing.
Do you have to pre-print copies, or is it order to print?
Order to print, and then you get a percentage of the sale price.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
cool.
Mhm.
A lot of people in my chat.
Did you know about the Watts case before you met Dylan?
Oh,
Do you-
yes. Mhm.
And did you follow it while it was happening, or is this
I
just
did, yes.
did? What did you think about it when it was happening?
It's hard to say because I feel like my opinions have changed over time, but I
Mhm.
really thought, in the beginning that Shanann just took the kids and left. But then, of
you
course, over time, things change, and I still don't know where I stand on a lot of it.
uh-huh.
And getting information from different sources and things like that definitely clouds exactly what I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the best answer I have for that.
How did you feel about when I was re-listening to the interviews? In one of the newspaper articles, Dylan had said that Chris was, innocent, and how did you feel about when Dylan was?
Well, are you speaking about the interview most recently that was with Steve Helling, or the interview he did on Truth and Transparency years ago? Because Dylan kind of wavers. Like, he had originally said, Chris is innocent, Chris is innocent.
Right.
And then he would come back and say, Chris didn't do everything they accused him of. Right. So
I think I'm talking about the one where, I guess, because I do remember now there was another one where he said that, he said that Chris was innocent. That's the one I'm talking about. But now I do remember the one where he said that Chris didn't do it to the girls, but he did it to Shanann. But how did you feel when he tried to minimize Chris? Because Chris is
I don't think I can answer that because I really don't know.
That's okay.
I don't know how I feel about that.
When you knew Dylan and you were talking to him, I know you're not currently talking to him, but
heck no.
At that time, what was Dylan's thoughts on Nicole Kessinger? Because that is where a lot of the true crime community is fixated on.
Dylan's stance on that was that he says that he was told by Chris that Chris killed Shanann, and then I want to say Nicole took care of the girls and Shanann's body. That's what it says in the books. That's what he claims Chris told him. And that's what Dylan believes.
When I was doing my research over on Reddit, I found this Reddit that this person put up via Facebook. Recently, they had spoken to Dylan, and this was a year ago. And they said via Facebook, he popped up trying to sell his book. It was defo him. He voice noted me, and I checked against interviews with him on YouTube. Stupidly, in regard to providing evidence of any conversation, I deleted it all for fear my husband might see and go bonkers that I had chatted to a convicted felon. Did anyone else chat to him? He told me some pretty interesting things. I'm not saying 100% I believe what he said. However, he sounded quite genuine, and it wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility to imagine that CW did in fact tell Dylan the info he passed on to me. Anyone else speak to him? And then she goes on to say, he told me that CW had told him that the kids weren't unalived by his hand, but Shanann was. Told him that Cece was still up when Shanann got home, and that Shanann medicated her to get her to sleep, and she could confront CW about the meal at the Lazy Dog, etc., etc. Apparently, it's the medication that killed Cece. Chris then put his hands around Shanann and didn't know what to do, so called NK, and thus she was involved. He didn't mention what happened to Bella, and I didn't want to ask as I was trying to tease it out of him. He was since stopped coming online, but I know he's currently in a rehab facility. Did Dylan tell you these things?
In some version, but not that exact version. I know the Reddit post you're talking about. But his version did change a little bit, supposedly. I don't know why his version changed, but it was different.
Well, I also have to think his opinion started to change of Chris too. Like, when you get to know someone and you like them, it's almost like you want to believe them.
No, yeah. God, I know.
Even though they're telling you bullshit and you know it's bullshit.
Yep.
That's true.
I always wonder, like Amy and I talk about this a lot. It's like, if Nicole really had something to do with it, Chris, like, why wouldn't you just come out? And then now it feels like he is trying to come out, but I would feel he would come out of the gate stronger with a little more evidence. But
I feel like
Yeah.
Dylan's, this is just my opinion, so let me state that ahead of time. I feel like Dylan's books may have a little more validity if he hadn't written them almost in revenge for what happened with the 40-day devotional.
okay, that makes sense. Because he was kind of upset that the plan they had fell apart.
Yes, he was very upset. And I feel like I want to say I know Dylan very well. I know the version of Dylan that Dylan showed me.
Sure.
So I am in no position whatsoever to speak for him because I don't know him. I never did, apparently, and I definitely don't know him now. But he does a lot of things out of reaction and revenge. And that's how this book series started. So now looking back, hindsight, I see more red flags than I should have seen in the beginning.
Yeah. Has anyone else reached out to you after seeing you kind of help Dylan do this?
As far as on YouTube or things like that?
Anyone who kind of like wants to get a book out there but doesn't know how to do it?
No one reached out in that aspect, but I had a very nice girl named Erica reach out to me on Facebook, and she wanted to know how she could get like a large quantity of the 2 religious books for some work she was doing. And she had reached out to Dylan, but it apparently didn't go well because he just kind of wanted to focus on me unpublishing the books and made it personal about me and didn't really stand behind his godly word that he was attempting to spread in the books. So the girl contacted me and was like, hey, is there anything you can do? I'll buy the files from you. And I was like, I can't sell the files. That's just unethical. That's not who I am. And she understood, and she and I have become good friends. But as far as anyone else really reaching out to ask the questions you're asking, no.
Why would she want the book even after the experience she had with Dylan? I don't understand that.
She wanted the books first.
Yeah, I know, but why did she continue to keep wanting the book after having a bad experience with Dylan? Why wouldn't she have just moved on to a different book?
She asked him about the books, and I believe he told her that she needed to talk to me because they were unpublished. So she went back to him and said, hey, she's not really talking much. She doesn't, she's not going to sell me files. Is there any way you can print them and I'll buy them? And that's kind of where he took off on her. So she shut it down.
Product that's complete and finished too.
Yes. So she kind of shut down talking to him.
Someone was a jerk to me, I wouldn't want to continue to purchase from them. That's the only
thing. That's what she told him, that, hey, I'm not going to purchase from you. And then that's when he got very aggressive. And she works in, I'm not going to give away her occupation, but let's say in the medical field. And so she attempted to help Dylan with some, issues he was having. And she was nicer than I would have been. I'll just say that. And then she had to give up and say, hey, sorry, I'm going to go elsewhere for material for my churches.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one else has really asked what happened to the books.
I think you're right, Connie. Connie in chat says, I believe we will never know the whole truth. Every now and then something else comes out. CW wants us to keep going, so he stays alive longer. If we lose interest, CW won't be protected as well. Yeah, I think I've heard some of the other prisoners say things like they will make Chris keep his case alive because they're milking him and they're making him, they're like, he's got a lot of money. And so in order to stay protected or stay alive, they're making him pay them, and he's got to keep the money coming in somehow. I have heard that.
Yeah, like he has to kind of, there's almost like a code, I guess, in prison that's not what it's like out here on, on the outside too.
I mean, it also varies from a maximum security to a minimum, medium. There's, a lot of differences. I can say that the Wisconsin DOC is not a place you want to end up.
Okay.
I mean, not that you want to end up in any facility like that, but a lot goes on in the Wisconsin prisons that's overlooked. And I'm sure you guys have heard about everything at Waupun with people dying and everything like that. The system there is incredibly broken. The inmates get away with things that they should not be getting away with in the maxes. It's a whole situation.
It seems that Chris is very cozy there. You know, when CBI came to interview him, he said he liked it better than Colorado. I have to think that they are keeping Chris very safe because they want to avoid a lawsuit if something should happen to him because he's government property right now. So I think a lot of people misconstrue that whole thing. You know, people are saying like, oh, I hope they beat him up in jail, and I'm like, or prison. Like, they're not going to, because the county wants to make sure he's safe, you know, because it looks bad if he's not.
I mean, technically it should look bad if anyone is not safe or anyone is doing illegal things.
And like you're saying, you've heard cases of people dying in this prison, this same prison.
Oh, not in Dodge, but Waupun, which is just about a mile and a half from Dodge.
How did Dylan feel about when this news story broke about them finding lube and his boxers in his cell? How did Dylan feel about that?
Oh, he was quite embarrassed, and I'll use the word irate.
Yeah.
Dylan was there. Dylan was actually in Dodge on a PO hold. So since he was there for that, he technically wasn't a prisoner, yet he was in prison. So he couldn't order commissary. He couldn't order from Union Supply or Jail Marcus. He couldn't do anything. So the story was, you know, of course, I mean, I have the original conduct report from the ticket they got for doing this.
Yeah.
And the media spun it, okay, lube and boxers. It was lube, boxers, coffee. Yeah, all the things. So depending on which outlet you read from is how bad it sounds.
Right.
Oh, it sounded bad. It sounded real bad. Because I even asked an ex-prison guard about it, and this is what he had to say about it. Finding the shorts and the other with his name on it in another prisoner's cell. Do you think he's having a relationship with a prisoner, or do you think he literally just loaned things to people?
There is something that tells me he's probably having a relationship with another inmate.
Yeah, because you don't just loan things like that, do you?
No. Underwear is a valuable commodity in prison, unless somebody's going to tell me otherwise, at least from everything I saw. And that's awfully sketchy. That would warrant investigation for sure. There's probably something going on there. And I think there's I think Mr. Watts, based on what I've seen, and obviously it's only my opinion, but is a very sexually conflicted individual.
Yeah. So we were all speculating on that because I do believe myself, and because I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I do think that Chris Watts is a bisexual individual. So it did sound weird.
You do think that?
Oh, I do.
I kind of think the opposite, and I'll tell you where my opinion comes is, just like you said, Jamie, I pulled the incident report, the conduct report myself. And
well, necessarily, I think it happened with Dylan, but I do think Chris Watts is bad. Yeah, I'm not saying with Dylan, like this could be totally innocent, but I do think he was having affairs with men, and I do think now that he's in there for the rest of his life, he will be definitely gay for the stake. So
I was going to use that term, but I didn't want to.
No,
I'll say what others won't.
Oh, then I'll speak more freely then if you want me to. But
oh yeah,
no, do it, Jamie. Yeah,
I don't know if you want me to do that. I actually said that very term to a friend of mine just in the past couple of days, the gay for the stay thing, and she got quite the laugh about it. I mean, I truly believe that. I mean, of course, not for everyone, but I mean, hey, do what you do. You know, it's.
I mean, you're in there for the rest of your life. What are you going to do?
Well, the problem is with PREA in place, the PREA, you can get in a lot of trouble for that.
Yeah, you can.
And that'll get you sent to the hole or whatever else could happen. And, you know, but people take their chances.
I mean, if you're in there for the rest of your life, I mean.
Yeah.
Too, where like you're saying with Dylan's incident, I think they took bits and pieces of that report. And one of the biggest people to do that was Daily Mail. They want to sensationalize things as much as possible. So, I mean, I kind of, in a way, felt bad for Dylan when I saw that article, because also inmates have to write their name on their underwear, I heard, after purchasing. So I'm assuming Watts put his name on there and then gave it to Dylan. But this is a question, actually, Amy, I have for you. So if you think that about Chris, do you think the people who came forward, the gentleman who said he met Chris on an app, do you think that was true?
Quite possibly. I've done some research. I've done some lives on it. And I know somebody, well, I mean, I don't know somebody that knows the guy, but I know somebody that knows the Amanda woman that came forward.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And the Amanda woman, interestingly enough, probably worked with Nicole Atkinson because she was in the hair field. So I think that there are connections there that we're just not quite aware of. And yeah, I think he was doing stuff on apps. I think he was. I don't think Chris is as innocent as he wants us to think. And I think also I've said this a lot, one of the big things that he does what he does because he doesn't want Ronnie to know about his bisexuality, because I don't believe that it's acceptable in that family. But this is just all my opinion, allegedly for entertainment research purposes only. I'm wrong about a lot of stuff. So I'm just saying that I just have a sneaky suspicion that Chris doesn't want his dad to know his true self. And so he keeps a lot of stuff hidden because of his dad.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought to it too, especially since these guys started coming out. I guess I see it more as like what you said. Now that he's there, he's stuck with what he's got, and then I can see it. But I have a hard time, I don't know, I guess seeing it beforehand because I just don't get those signals, those vibes. But that doesn't mean, there was also speculation that maybe Nicole invited a third party into the mix.
Well, I mean, and she was preparing for the back door. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it means that he wasn't against doing it in the back door. So.
And then you do have the friend Jim, who has been said.
Hey, leave Jim alone.
Leave Jim alone. But I don't know Jim, but I have heard through other sources that Jim is gay.
Yeah.
And that, Nicole was best friends with him. And I assume that maybe they all hung out together. I don't know. I can't answer that. But it makes me wonder, we go back to that Chris Watts and the dark things. Is this one of the dark things Chris is talking about? Being gay, being bisexual?
I think it is one of his secrets, but I mean, I think Chris has more secrets than we know.
Well, he said he'll take it to the grave.
Yeah. But then again, is his secrets just so lame that, like what you said, that Nicole was doing yoga or something like that? Because I can also see him being that lame. So I just don't know.
I don't want your thoughts on this. In our last live, we were talking about, and maybe Dylan got a piece of this too. And I'm sure maybe they talked about it because they were having these religious conversations, but we kind of want to know what Chris's idea of dark things are, because we know Nicole Kessinger was into yoga, meditation, and crystals. And that doesn't necessarily mean someone's dark, doesn't mean they're doing spells and magic. It just means they're open to a different type of healing process. Did Dylan mention anything about that in regards to Kessinger that you remember?
He did not, no.
Okay. But have you seen kind of some of the stuff that Chris said about dark things?
Yes, I have seen it, but I did not hear any of that from Dylan.
What did Dylan, if anybody were to ever talk about like crystals or anything like that, was Dylan super religious? I just can't, Dylan doesn't strike me. Well, maybe it was jailhouse religion. I don't know. He just
was Dylan super religious? Is that your question?
Yeah, I guess that's my question.
Okay. In my opinion, and you notice I'm saying a lot of stuff and starting with in my opinion.
Well, yeah, this is all in your opinion. So
okay, Dylan was religious when he felt he could profit from it.
Okay.
I think Chris is the same way. I think Chris is religious because he thinks that it's going to make people think better of him and that he can profit from it.
In the 40-day devotional, plus Chris's other writings that have never been made public, his writings and his interpretation of certain scriptures and everything is extremely well written and extremely, I don't want to use researched, but Chris is a very good writer, in my opinion. The things I read, they were very telling of how he felt about certain things. He used a lot of, I statements. So maybe Chris did become religious. In my opinion, Dylan did it for profit. Dylan does not walk a path that would show any relationship with God to me, only when it's convenient. That's what I saw of Dylan.
I always felt like Chris was copying lyrics or copying poems. So he wasn't just copying shit and sending it to you, because I just feel like Chris, I believe in Chris is a good writer. Like,
not at all. He is actually, I was shocked.
duh.
I was honestly shocked when I was typing out his part of the book. It really drew me in and I enjoyed it.
And this is not just him regurgitating scripture. This is his own original ideas.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh.
That's interesting, because I will say, I kind of thought it was ironic that he picked up the Bible immediately after going to Colorado. And I thought maybe he was using that as a shield. But also, I wonder if I'm giving Chris the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to, I try, Jamie, to be kind to everyone, even though what he did is absolutely inexcusable. But I wonder if...
No, not Chris Watts.
What?
Not me. Chris Watts is like, when I'm having a bad day, I talk about Chris Watts. I put my ire into Chris Watts. He did too much. He did too much for me to be kind. I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm trying to be kind in the sense of I'm trying to get into his brain and understand him. And so,
I don't really look at it as being kind. I look at it as more of being open-minded. And I'm so much of a realist that when these guys get to Dodge is an intake prison. Okay. You can't have anything. You know what you can have? A Bible.
A Bible. Yeah.
So how are you going to pass the time? You're going to read that Bible.
I used to go in and do counseling for some inmates. It's called Jailhouse Religion. Yeah. Yes. It's the first thing that they pick up, because they get a Bible. Sometimes that's all they get, because the book doesn't come around, or they're in, they just don't get it. So the Bible, and I'm sure some of it does seep in, and then they have the outside people that come in, and it's usually the Christian people that come in. And so those are the people they get to interact, and they get to leave their cell. And so, I can totally understand. I would probably do too, just to get out, or just to read if I needed something to read, so I get it.
So, I guess that's how it started. But if you're not going to continue to walk that path, let it go.
Yeah.
And that's just, again, my opinion.
Well, where I was like, I was thinking with that, and I guess you know what I mean. Like, I'm not trying to be kind to him. I think I'm trying to get in his mind. And I'm wondering if Chris really does in his mind think he was possessed by a demon. And is that why he rushed so quickly to the Bible? Because it scared the shit out of him and he wanted to be saved.
I don't believe that, no.
Okay. So it was kind of what Amy's saying. He was bored out of his mind and Bible.
I would go that direction before I would go the other one. But once again, my opinion.
I think he uses it. I think he used it as a way to control his family. I mean, I could see, like, when his father got baptized, his whole family was so proud of that fact, and they were like, only you could do this. And, what they did was something so beautiful. But I was so pissed off at Chris Watts, because he did it he's using his religion as a control factor to make people think that he's a nice guy. And also his family is like doing these things for him, but I don't think he believes in it at all. I don't, I just don't. But I mean, also in turn, going towards a higher power isn't a bad thing. So it is something good that happened for Ronnie, at least. So.
Yeah. Oh, I don't believe it's a bad thing at all. I just believe you shouldn't try and profit from it. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. Like, if you're going to write these books,
walk the walk, don't just talk the talk.
Yeah. Like the woman who was reaching out about those books.
Yes.
If you were really doing it out of the kindness of your heart to be a part of something bigger, you would have done it for free.
Correct. Or maybe even just ask for, the price of the printing.
Yeah.
Or something, but it was for profit, which, I mean, who doesn't want to make money, right?
Sure. You gotta eat.
And you also got to do some unsavory things with money. But once again, I can't speak as freely as I'd like to right now.
Yeah. Amy, I want to ask you, when you worked with these prisoners, what kind of crimes did they do? What kind of things did they talk to you about?
Well, I was working at a substance abuse facility, and I was going in and doing intakes for the prisoners that were going to go through our treatment facility. So I always enjoyed being the intake worker because I could get the information, write the case, and then move it along and not really. I mean, I just enjoy interviewing people and getting people's stories. So they would tell me everything that needed to be told, I guess, or that they were willing to tell me.
Did you get to
they would get in on an intake?
Yeah. Did you get to see anyone kind of like transition from being at their worst and then like kind of turning their life around?
Not really. It was a jail situation. It was like a kind of a revolving door. I did do a few where we were doing video calls of the prisoners that were coming out of the Jackson prison. But I wasn't going to be their worker. Again, I was the intake worker. So no. When you're the intake worker, you do the intake and then you move it along. You don't become their worker. But I was working for my CAC and I did take one of them. And it wasn't a good story. So
I have a question for maybe you, Amy. It's slightly off topic, but not totally. So you've worked in a prison setting before.
I worked at a substance facility, and I would go into the jail setting. So I would go into the jail, and I would do intakes with the prisoners.
Okay, I was just kind of curious if you knew how like the social worker aspect in a prison works.
Well, I am a social worker. My BA is in social psych, but I wasn't the social worker in the prison. So,
okay.
What aspect of the social work are you asking? Like, what do you mean?
Oh, just like, I know the social workers in prisons are supposed to help facilitate release back into the community and things like that. And I was just wondering if you had any experience with how that process works.
Yes, that was one of the things that I would do with the video conferences. I would come in on when they were going to be released, and because I was working at the facility, I would do the intake to help them get their treatment plans going.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to really I was about to ask you, Amy, if you were ever scared. So you didn't have to actually be like physically in the room with them?
Yes, I had to be at the jail. I was physically in the room, and I wasn't scared at the jail, oddly, but when I was with the prisoners that were coming out of prison, I felt scared.
Amy, when you were doing that, and this is my own total curiosity, is there a camera in there recording audio and video to make sure you're safe during that process?
It was a small town. I do believe there was, but I'm not totally sure. And I will say this too, that it was early 2000s, just before cameras were starting to be used all the time. It was how it would be like a common normal thing. But I do believe there was.
Total random question that popped in my head.
I do remember looking up into I think I would have to do something like this when I was ready to leave.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. I'm going to have to wrap this up here shortly because I have to have dinner and everything.
Okay. Well, why don't we just wrap it up with you and say bye. Let's go over into chat real quick and see if we have any questions for you before you go.
Sure, I'll hang out for that. Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Veronica says, he became religious, in my humble opinion, for the sake of the family, especially crazy Cindy.
I have one.
Is Cindy religious?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
I kind of got the vibe they all were. But maybe
I kind of got the vibe they weren't, and that Chris helped them do that.
Is that facility that Dylan and Chris were in, is it like a no-touch facility where you, as a guest, would come? Is it just phone calls behind a glass, or can you?
No, they have contact visits there for immediate family only when you are there before you go to your home prison. If that becomes your home prison, your visitors list can be expanded.
Okay. And a lot of people are like, how come we're not seeing these new phone calls or anything? I myself has requested from this prison any phone calls he's made. Well,
you won't.
They don't record them there.
Yeah, you won't, because Wisconsin doesn't release phone calls, so you're not going to get any.
Compared to our Wade Wilson guy.
Yeah,
we listen to those, but I bet that made Dylan feel a little more comfortable on the phone, probably knowing those calls weren't getting released.
I never talked to Dylan when he was in Dodge with Chris. Of course, I talked to him when he went through Dodge last August. I honestly, I don't know if the Wisconsin DOC even really cares enough to listen to their recorded calls. I feel if they did, they would take things more seriously.
They'd catch more going on.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would gladly speak to both of you privately about things like that, but that's too personal to say here.
Understood.
Because like I said, I'm going to wrap it up with this. My intent in doing this is not to bash Dylan, to cause him any harm. It's just, so you guys have the information of why the books are pulled. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have. But if you guys have more questions, you know how to reach me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our chat thanks you too, Jamie, for kind of clarifying all of this mince information that's been out there.
Not a problem. If anyone has any questions and they watch later, I'll see if I can answer them. Or
Great.
All right. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great night.
Thanks, Jamie. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was
You're
Jamie,
not
one of
subscribed.
Dylan Tallman's.
Why are you not subscribed? I would really, really, really love to have you as a power subscriber. If you really like my content, be sure to become a Dragonfly, and that's our membership, and it's $2.99 a month. I release all my videos early. We have special emojis over in the chat room. I kind of share things ahead of time with my Dragonflies, and I go live sometimes just for the Dragonflies. It's a way that I can support you guys and give you more content, and it's a way for you to support our channel. It's $2.99 a month, and I would love to have you.
Miss my cue, but I had you for that day. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you.
Be sure to give this live a thumbs up. Helps me go out into the algorithm party out there. Bring more people back to the party. It's just a free way to help me out.
With you tonight, and it feels fine. Feels fine. Baby, I'm dancing with you tonight. Here in the blue, I'm dancing and falling out, hoping for some time with you.